Welcome to the Porn Stars Are People podcast. I'm here with Tindra Frost. Thank you for meeting me. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for inviting me.
No, I appreciate it. I'm in England. I've been back in town in London for like a day and a half. So thank you for doing this. This is my second time in London in like 14 years.
Oh.
Yeah, I lived here in like 2004.
You managed to escape.
I managed to just get honestly, while I was still in university, if I could have stayed at that point in time, I definitely would have. London is like the first city that I like figured out who I was as an individual. Because up until that point, I was like living like near my parents. I was going to college near my parents. Like I like it was like if I needed something, I would just call mom. Like I wouldn't go solve the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, no, similar for me. I grew up in a very, very small community. I grew up in Iceland.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
I was about to go to Iceland. I didn't know that. That's great. Where in Iceland?
Reykjavik, like
Okay.
everyone else.
Yeah.
So,
I was supposed to go there on my way back to New York, and then I waited, and the flight went from like $120 to like $700.
yeah. It's also just whilst you're there, everything is super expensive.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah.
I never go back. Like people complain about prices in London, but compared to Iceland.
Yeah, no way. Why is that?
It's small rich country.
Yeah.
So you can get away with it.
So they're like, whatever. That's what it costs. That's how I felt. Where did I go? I went to why do I keep screwing this up? Not Prague. What's the main city in Czechoslovakia? Why am I so dumb?
It's also called Czech Republic and Slovakia. They're two separate countries now.
I'm an American. We don't know anything. But so I went. What the hell? Well, as soon as I think of it. But I went and I was like, and I was going around. I was doing my thing, and then all I realized was like, to come hang out here, I need to get paid in the currency here, or otherwise, because it was like I was spending $9-10 on coffee. It was terrible. Why am I so dumb? I don't know where I went in my own life. So how did you end up in London? Tell me that story.
Well, as soon as I turned 16, I kind of went to my parents, like, you can't keep me in Iceland anymore. It's like I'm an adult. But no, I went to Scotland first, went to high school, and then I came down to London, actually. I went to university.
Which one?
I went to Kingston University.
Nice.
So, and then just lingered on, and like I really liked it because, as you say, it's like there's so much diversity and stuff in London. Like you can kind of be anyone you want to be.
Yeah.
So I kind of got sucked into it. Like I have these dreams of like moving to the countryside and stuff, but I think once you've lived in London, it's really hard to.
Yeah. Well, what did I do? My brother lives around the corner here. He lives on sort of like this canal, and so I took a little walk on the canal yesterday, and there's like all these people that are living in these little boats.
Yeah.
And they have solar panels, and they have their plants, and they have their little bikes, and half of me was like, I could do that.
Yeah.
I could totally do that because it's like it's two things. It's roughing it, right? But you're also in the middle of London.
Yeah.
So it's like you live in a boat with solar panels, and you're sort of like you don't have like a home, but you're also right in the middle of one of the greatest cities on earth.
Yeah. I filmed a porno in one of these.
Oh, that's great.
Just around the corner.
Wait, what's it called?
It's called Remember Me.
Okay.
So it's the producer had access to a boat, so we
That's
just
great.
did it. We like drove it down the
Oh, that's
down
great.
the canal and
Oh, he's just going back and forth.
yeah.
That's great. Yeah, there was. I like this idea. This is like a quintessential porn idea. It's a thing. Let's have sex on it.
Yeah.
Right. It's like whatever it is. Let's go. Like let's. We're in a plane. We have to have sex there. This is like what my 20s were. It was like I had a lady who we were like trying to be experimental, and so we would just try and find different places to have sex. And I think it's because of porn. Like porn, like sort of like infiltrated my brain in that way.
Yeah, I think like a lot of porn performers, they come into porn from being like exhibitionists.
Yeah, sure.
So it's like, it's the idea of like almost getting caught.
Yeah.
I definitely had that. Like I was really excited about having sex in like especially forbidden places. Like church was on my list for a long time.
Wow.
I managed to take that one off.
Yes, a buddy of mine got so mad at me. We were in San Francisco a couple years ago. He was supposed to meet up with this girl in a cemetery after midnight, and they were gonna like have like a picnic, and he was gonna try to have sex with her. And I needed him to like drive me back to where we were staying, and he got so mad at me, and I was like, dude, this is part of the deal. Like we're on tour together. You do your thing afterwards. But so a church, wow.
Yeah.
Now this was part of a movie, or this was like a recreational?
Just recreational.
Oh, that's great. So where did you manage to do it in a church?
Well, there was a concert on in the church, so everyone's attention was like thrown
No way.
away. Yeah.
So it's literally one of the things where you're just standing there.
Yeah, I was like, here's my moment. Like, this is my moment. Everyone else is in that part of the church.
Yeah.
Like,
So which part of the church were you in?
just on the side where there were some statues and stuff. I don't know what the parts of it. Obviously, I'm not Christian.
Right.
But I don't.
I think that's what they call it, the side part of the church with the statues in.
Yeah.
That's the official name
That's
of it. I'm
official
pretty
word.
sure. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. That's great.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite places. I also managed to do it once in like a gondola coming down from a ski resort. It's like a view of the Alps everywhere. That was pretty magical.
The ski lift. Yeah.
Yeah, not a ski lift. It's like a gondola that takes you up to a ski resort. So it's like
It's
It's
enclosed.
it's enclosed, but it's all glass.
Yeah.
So you
Oh,
have
interesting.
to just be very quick.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like that's every time I'm like ready to try it in like an elevator. I was like, you don't have enough time.
Yeah.
But a gondola, I feel like you have just enough time.
It's mostly trying to get all the like skiing
Right.
gear back on.
Yes. Yes.
It's gonna look a bit suspicious, like why you took it all off.
Yeah. Well, but at that point, who cares?
Yeah.
You got the duty done. Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's great. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm just having this conversation makes me realize how lame I've been in my 30s, and I haven't done anything weird. I think my best one was like an ice machine room of a hotel, just this weird interaction, and then we sort of used the drain to our advantage. By the way, this is how dumb I am. I wasn't even in Czechoslovakia. I was in Zurich, Switzerland. Like this is how dumb.
Oh.
This is how dumb I am.
That's not even close.
No, not at all. But anyway, all I could remember was I was like, if I could just get paid in Swiss francs, then this whole thing would be worth it. It's the only way to hang out there. Like I was there for
Yeah.
22 hours, and I was like, I ate once and had a couple coffees, and I was like looking at my my receipts, and I was like, well, what happened? What happened here? So being in London, you get a pretty good, radius to travel. Do you get an opportunity to go around everywhere and do the like see everything?
Yeah, that's another thing that keeps me in London is that is the proximity to like King's Cross Station and Heathrow Airport.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like, I work a lot in Europe, all over Britain. Furthest I've gone for work was Australia.
Oh, that's cool.
I
That's
did,
really cool.
The Sexpo in Australia.
Nice.
So, yeah.
When is that?
They tour around Australia. It's when I did it was December.
Okay.
So
Very
it's
cool.
like
And
a
then
convention for
and December is midsummer there.
Oh yeah, that was the hardest thing. It's like coming back to Britain. Like
Yeah.
just into the cold here. So
Yeah, that's what I did with I went to South Africa in January. So then I went back to New York for like 5 seconds, and then I went to Vegas. And so I basically skipped winter.
yeah, that's the way to do it.
And then I came here. Well, I came to South Africa and here in summer, which both of those are tame places. Like right now in New York, it's like 90 degrees and it's like 100% humidity. It's disgusting. So I get to skip it to be in South Africa to be in like 60-degree weather with nothing. And then London's it's pretty warm for what I remember of London.
Yeah, it's been a heat wave.
Yeah.
this is not normal for us. But it kind of sucks when it's this hot in London because we haven't got air conditioning
Yeah.
anywhere. It's like you go on the tube and people are passing out left, right, and centre.
Yeah? Really?
Yeah.
Like it's a Michael Jackson concert?
yeah, it's yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't
That gets really horrible in my line of work because studio lighting is already really hot.
Right.
And then you're stuck in a studio without any air conditioning,
Right.
and obviously have your makeup on, and it just ends up on the
It
bottom
just
of
starts
your face.
melting.
Yeah, nobody needs to see that.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, that's one of the things. What was they had this big internet photo gallery. This sort of like the porn makeup before and afters. This was like a thing that was going around for a while, and I didn't realize the amount of effort that goes into just that look, and especially with the eyelashes and all the things. It's like it's a whole deal.
I was on one shoot where they were very particular about keeping the makeup good, so they were constantly going freeze. And they're stopping and
somebody run
running
in?
on.
And they paint you back on.
Yeah, but it's like when you're midway through the action,
Yeah.
it's very complex.
Yeah. So you say hold.
You have that
Okay.
awkward silence where you're like making eye contact with everyone in the room.
Yeah. So you just hold and nobody stroke. Leave the stroke. I guess that's crazy. So what else? So you've been in London how long?
Oh gosh, I've been in London 9 years.
Okay, very
Yeah,
cool.
But like I've only been in the business for 6 years. I was at uni for the first three
Yeah.
years. So didn't really get to enjoy London that much when you're at uni because you're like broke.
Right, and trying to figure the whole thing. One of my favorite things about England, unlike a lot of places, well, London specifically, is that all the museums are free,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. Like when I was here, that's what we did. We did a course where we went to museums, looked at all the art, and then we just wrote papers, and it was fantastic. And then while I was here, let's see, would you have been? So while I was here, the British Museum has a reading room, which is fantastic. It's one of my favorite places in London. It's been closed apparently for about 10 years, so I'm not sure if anybody. So I went back and I didn't know that it was closed, and I was so disappointed because that's where I went. That's where I would go. Have you been in the British Museum?
Yes.
You go all the way through. You go to the middle, and then there's this. There's sort of like this dome, sort
Yeah.
of like lit up room, and then right inside of that is this like old school, like I don't know, 1700s like library, and it's fantastic. And it's closed.
You sound so cultured.
I know, right?
When I lived in London.
When I
hang
lived
out
in London for 4 months and didn't have any money. Yeah, okay, so my big being broke thing when I was in London was I made this baked bean pasta. So I would take Hunt's, what are they? I guess you don't call them baked beans. What do you call them? Hunt's, just the kidney beans in the red sauce.
Yeah.
And then I'd take pasta and I would cook them and I would mix them together, and I convinced myself that this was a real meal and that there was protein in it, and then I would like hit it with as much Parmesan cheese as I could, and when you mix it up, it makes a terrible sound, and then I would eat it hot and I would eat it cold. What's your big like broke college meal that like made you get through the whole thing?
Well, I was quite big on just microwaving a lot of chickpeas.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you eat enough chickpeas, it keep you full for a real long
Is
time.
that, yeah, so it's the same idea. Yeah, we're both eating beans. We're like, yeah, I'm full.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Well, it was great for like losing weight, but
Yeah.
probably not so good
Like,
for
look, I'm losing all this weight. You're like, yeah, you're starving
yeah,
yourself.
malnutrition.
Oh, that's funny. Do you do anything now? Like, what's your diet plan now? How do you maintain whatever you're trying to be?
I try to be vegan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like this. I like this honesty. So in the U.S., nobody has this level of honesty. They like get very angry about being vegan and about how you're not vegan,
Yeah.
and then they pretend as if they've never cheated.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely a very unethical vegan. I cave a lot.
Yeah. So when was the last time you caved?
Today.
Today. It's not even. It's 1:18. How did you cave today?
Oh gosh, I went to Starbucks and I got myself an almond latte, and then they have them chocolate coins on there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just too tempting.
Okay. Well, so you didn't eat meat though. You ate dairy, so
yeah.
that's.
Yeah, I don't.
And truthfully, the amount of dairy in a little chocolate coin is.
Yeah.
It's mostly just sugar.
Yeah. That's how I try to justify it. It's like
Yeah.
milk powder. Chocolate's fine.
Yeah. Well, none of the food is food. Although here, I was saying, like, randomly there was another comedian in town. I bumped into him the other day. I went to one of the shows and he was there, and I was like, holy shit, New York's infiltrating everywhere. And he was saying that he's been like sick for like 3 days eating the food here, and I was like, and he like, he's an American, so he's doing this thing. He's like, do you think it's the water, it's whatever? And I was like, I think it's just that it's real food. I think like you're probably in the U.S. and in New York like used to eating like food that doesn't have any food in it. So now it's like when you go to like a beautiful place outside of a city and you try to breathe, and like you start coughing because your body's never had like pure oxygen.
Yeah.
So in the U.S. everything, and in Starbucks everything is sort of
Sugar. More
sugar, poison, fake food, Wait, so okay, so
I did like though when I went to the States that like you get like real portions at every restaurant.
Yeah, I
like
like how you call it real portions.
It feels like you're
too
getting
much
your
food.
money's worth.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they have to then leave with a box. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the where did you go when you went to the U.S.?
Oh, I've been to New York, and I've been to Florida, and I've been to San Francisco.
Interesting choices. Actually, that's my couple month plan right there. Actually, as soon as I go home, I'm going to San Francisco. But what is why are those the three places? New York, I get it. And it's most of the London flights actually go through New York, so you can't even avoid it if you wanted to, right?
Yeah.
What's in Florida?
Well, Florida, I had to go with the sisters to take them to Disneyland.
Oh wow! What did you think?
It was very overwhelming.
Yes, in a good way or a bad way?
A bit of both.
Yeah.
Like, because I'd been to the Disney in Paris before.
Okay.
Which is like a much more manageable kind of.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not familiar with that park. Yeah.
But then when I got to like you could literally spend like half a year in Disney
Right.
World in Florida.
Right.
You'd
Right.
still be seeing new things and doing new things like
Yeah.
every day. And there was, I definitely needed like a Disney detox after that.
Okay.
So it was,
Yeah. Now, did you stay on the property?
No, no.
So
It
last
was,
time I was down there, I stayed on the property, and everything's sort of connected. And it's like, you look at it and you go, "Oh, they've made it so I don't have to leave." And not even that, like it's hard to leave.
yeah.
Like I'm a prisoner at Disney because they want all of my money. And I just don't get this thing. It's like, I came out here and I went to South Africa for comedy, but I meet these people and they go to Epcot, which is one of the Disney parks, and they like go to all these little things, and like there's a Thailand stand, and then there's a Switzerland stand, and then there's a Czech Republic stand. This is just, I'm using these for the, and they like get like a thing. They'll get like a meatball from a thing, and they'll get whatever. I don't know. Switzerland, I guess you get chocolate, whatever. And so they get the things, and they're like, oh, I like, and they'll drink, and they're like, oh, I drank around the world. And then you look, same kind of thing. You look at the bill, and you go, you actually could have gone to Switzerland.
Yeah.
For what you just spent hanging out at Disneyland and hanging out at the parks and that sort of thing. And people, I just don't understand. This is like an American thing that you never actually get actual culture. You get like the Cliff's Notes version of it.
Yeah. I like, here in Britain, we like to criticize the Americans for not traveling.
Yeah.
But it must be so like hard for you guys to travel over here because it's a long flight. Everything is really expensive, and then everything is just a shrunken version.
Yeah.
Our meal portions are like half but twice the price, and like
Yeah.
it must be quite a disappointment.
It's London. I'm like still. I have this like romantic thing about London still because it's where I sort of like, I don't know, not invented myself, but it's like I was 19 years old when I got here, and I just I figured it out. I figured out how to be a human. So it's kind of like when I go to, I'm Italian, so when I go to Italy, it's just sort of like I'm spending all this money, but I'm looking around and people are speaking Italian, and I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. I don't know, this is just great. But I think a lot of people are afraid. I think people are afraid of it. I think people are afraid of traveling. I think people are afraid of change.
I guess I mean if you live in Britain, if you wanna go on a beachy holiday, you have to go abroad. You have to go somewhere where everyone speaks Spanish. So like from an early age, we're used to traveling around. Like it's fairly normal for me to just hop on a plane and go and like shoot in a different country and come back.
Yeah.
And just like spend like one night somewhere.
Yeah,
else
yeah,
and,
yeah.
You know, because it's sort of ingrained in our culture, traveling.
Yeah, well, and then just from a proximity standpoint, it's easy enough. Like my brother's out here, and he went to Amsterdam for the weekend, and then just came back. It's super easy, and it's like when you look at it from a global perspective, you're like, oh, that's you went to another country like yesterday. That's crazy, but yeah, that's something I love about this thing, and I think I really like that my brother and me both sort of caught our independence here because I think he's gonna try to hang. I think he's trying to hang here for a couple of years and just sort of hop around and do Europe, which I think is cool. When you come from like the United States and you're from sort of a smaller like town, you know, even though we're in New York State, we're not from the city. So then you just have this inherently tiny view of the world.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
No, that's the same for me. It's like that's why I needed to leave Iceland because I never really felt like I fitted in because everything's very uniform.
Yeah.
There's so few people and everyone's sort of on the same conveyor belt.
Yeah, well, explain that. What is that? What does that look like?
Like very kind of like suburbia attitude to life. It's like everyone's quite like well off and educated and stuff, but there's you just are meant to go and do your proper thing.
Yeah.
Like, and if you are in any way different or want to do something different, there's no one else doing anything different, so you feel quite isolated and alone. Whereas like when I came to London, I was like, you can literally do anything and nothing will shock them.
Everybody's doing something crazy. Like I saw, it's funny because I've been in New York for I think, what is it now, 14 years, 12 years. Like there was a lady yesterday in Shoreditch just yelling at the top of her lungs at these like 4 like 20-year-old girls, and they were just like appalled. And I was like, welcome to a big city. I was like, it's just like New York. This is great. It's like if I don't see that on a daily, and it's homeless people, you know, it's just like it's all of the thing. And there's people that are like homeless on purpose. There's people that living in the boats. There's people living in the tents on that little canal and things like that.
I used to live in when I first moved like into London, because I used to always live on the outskirts, and when I moved into London, I moved to a converted warehouse.
Oh,
so
wow.
it's like a warehouse community
Yeah,
with
that's
loads of
great.
people. And
Like squatters, or you're paying money? Or?
we were actually paying rent. I think it originally started as a squat, and the
Yeah.
council didn't like it at
Right,
all.
right,
but
right.
it becomes such a community because there were all these abandoned warehouses, and in every single one there's multiple people living. And then we'd have like, you know, our online groups, and we'd like throw on events and all sorts of things.
That's
There were
great.
so many creatives, and
It's like what I dreamt about what New York was supposed to be, and then was already done by the time I got there. By the time I got to New York, like there was one more year of people squatting in apartments in Dumbo, and then sort of it got taken over and became the most expensive neighborhood in New York, or in Brooklyn. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, and I do fear the same thing is happening in London. Like they're always trying to crack down on these things.
Yeah.
And like, especially with the city becoming so popular and so expensive.
Yeah,
like,
it's just you just run out of space. Like everywhere we've been, so everywhere my brother's been staying is they're putting up new buildings. There's cranes everywhere I go. So it's it's just one of these like expansion problems. I don't know, but then last time I was out here, I mean this is 12 years ago, and even like what's this building? The Shard hadn't been built yet. So even like the idea of like crazy skyscrapers didn't really exist yet in London. It's so crazy to see what happens in 12 years. What is it? I guess 14 years for here. What's the I think one of the main skyscrapers at the time when I was here was the Gherkin, which is the sort of the phallic building, and now there's like 10 more.
Yeah.
It's kind of nuts. There's some. So what neighborhood are you in? Without giving up too much.
I'm quite far down on the southwest.
Okay.
So yeah, I was in near Camden.
Okay.
And like I love that neighborhood.
Yeah.
But I was essentially living in a Harry Potter cupboard and paying the rent for
Right,
like
right,
a proper house. So
Yeah.
it's I was kind of pissed out of that there, like everybody else.
Yeah.
Like the rent was just getting ridiculous.
There's something fun about that, right? When you're like struggling and young, and then eventually you start to grow up, and you're like, this is stupid. I'd rather get a little bit more quiet, a little bit more space, and chill.
I also like, because I travel so much for work, I feel a bit like cheated if I
Right.
pay for an expensive property that I'm never at. And little things is like, once I've been traveling and I come home, I want to be able to take a bath, and that's a square meter you don't want to be paying for in Camden.
Right.
So it's like just the fact that I live somewhere now where I can have a bathtub is like such a luxury.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's where I'm at. This year sort of got away from me. I from January I went to South Africa, Vegas, and then sort of I've been on the road ever since. I was on the road for a month in February, March, April, and then now I'm here. It's like I think I've been in my own apartment a total of 4 days so far. It's kind of nuts. And it kind of bums me out a little bit. It's like people were like, oh, how do you do that? Like, how do you maintain sanity and when you go place to place and you don't get to be home all the time?
I've always been like a bit of a nomad. Like someone's trying to come in.
Somebody's trying to get in. Yeah, I think they're trying to deliver food. You've always been sort of a nomad.
Yeah, I've always like I can't stay still for too
Yeah.
long. If I'm at home for like 3 days in a row, I just get like cabin fever. So I purposely move house every year. I don't
No
need
shit.
to. I just need something new. So
I do the opposite. I've sort of started hoarding because I'm traveling so much. I just want to come home and know that everything is covered and it's there and I have it somewhere. I might have to look for 4 hours to find it, but it's there somewhere.
Yeah.
That's interesting. This is the one that people always get me on is like, oh, don't you get homesick?
No.
I don't have that. I don't have that emotion. I don't know why that's a thing.
No, I've never understood it. Like I moved over to UK like without my family when I was 16 and never got home.
Yeah.
Like, there's like I think the most I missed was like certain foods, and now you've got the internet, you can just order it.
Yeah. Well, wait. So what were foods in Iceland that you can't get here?
A lot of the like sweets.
Okay.
Like kind of sweets from childhood.
Interesting.
There's something
Yeah,
very,
yeah.
And now like every time I go to any Scandinavian country, I look, because they all have the same kind of distributors.
Yeah.
I like run in and I feel like I'm a kid at the
Get
candy
the
store
thing.
again. Like
Yeah. Well, you literally are. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah. I don't know. So, otherwise, what do you do? Like, I've made up this thing in my head about like coffee and that being sort of like how I maintain sanity and this and that. Like, what do you have? You wake up in a new place. What do you have to do to feel like you're yourself no matter where you are?
Connect to the internet.
Okay, yeah.
It's very honest millennial answer. It's like I have to connect to the internet.
Just
talk
get
to
on
my Twitter
Instagram.
followers, like,
Yeah.
yeah, and Then yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I could do this like back in the day before the internet.
Yeah.
When you had to like put money in the payphone. Like that
Right.
would have been a lot different.
Right. When I was here the first time, it was like it was a calling card. I got some some like burner. We call it a burner cell phone. I don't know why. That's like if you're committing crimes, but it was like a you buy stuff and you throw it out. And yeah, I had to put in like a 25-digit number, then call my family on like a 25-digit number, only to be like, what? How? Yes, I'm good. How are you? It's crazy. Like now I was on WhatsApp the other day for my grandma's like 87th birthday. I just got like Skyped in, and my grandma doesn't know how to use the phone. So she's holding it at her chest, and she's like it's like looking up at her, and she's like, I look fat, and I was like, Grandma, everybody looks fat from that angle. I was like, if you put me at that angle, I have 9 chins. I was trying to show her how to like the young girls do the thing in the air.
That's the proper like mom using smartphone thing though. It's like this.
It's like a lot of like squinty, and it's like what do you want? Yeah. Okay, that's good. Yeah, what about? Is there anything? The vegan thing is sort of why have you decided to go vegan?
When I'm not being all a glamorous porn star, I'm quite like into like sustainability, saving the planet.
Okay.
So that was the original thing, was to help the environment by going vegan and like reduce plastic and all of this. That is the hardest thing about traveling. It's the amount of times you end up at an airport or a train station and there's just like no other option.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
eat.
Yeah, to eat, and you have to take plastic everything.
Yeah.
And just like, I feel bad, but I'm trying my best.
Yeah, we can only do so much.
Yeah.
I was so vigilant about what I was doing from a meal plan standpoint when I came in January that I remember I was traveling for 30 hours straight because I did that sort of weird drop off in Zurich for 20. It was a 12-hour layover in Zurich. So I went through whatever. And I think I just didn't eat in sort of almost that entire time from the airport all the way until Zurich. I just avoided all the food, and I was like, I'm fasting, and I'm doing this, and I'm that, and I was like crushing it. And then the other day I was just so exhausted. They literally brought me a plate of like carbs and sugar, and I was just like, yeah, let's just shove it in my head.
I do this a lot. I go like, because I'm traveling, it'll be so easy to avoid food and like get back on the dieting. But then you're always there, just like you just energy levels go down, and suddenly like a McDonald's appears. Yeah,
you're like, well, I don't want to walk anymore. I'm just gonna go to this. This will solve the problem. Yeah, there's this fun thing that we can do. We can make up any excuse that like suits our needs. This is what's great about being a human, is we just go, well, today's different, and tomorrow I'll get back on track.
Yeah, it's always Monday.
Yeah, it's always Monday. Yeah, it's Monday, and then you break it, and you're like, well, whatever, man. I gotta break it the rest of the week because it doesn't start back up till Monday again. That's funny. It's just week by week. Okay, so you broke it with dairy. Theoretically. I would argue that milk chocolate is you're fine.
We have a complicated relationship.
Have you ever? Are you accidentally eating meat? No, I know you're using the term accident, sort of.
No, there's only one kind of meat I like.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Oh shit. Well, so do you eat fish?
And that was a hard one because I used to eat fish and I don't eat fish anymore.
Okay, interesting. So how do you find? Yeah. So then you're back on the chickpea thing to find your protein and your.
Yeah, that's true.
Chickpeas
is back to my uni.
Chickpeas is your old mistress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I will eventually crack on the fish thing. Like that's like a struggle every day. Maybe it'll be like Christmas or something.
And you'll have a fish?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm gonna treat myself. It's Christmas.
I mean, Christmas is already like an awkward conversation with all family members.
And by the way, that's not just you. That is everyone. That is globally. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what your profession is. It's so annoying. Nobody knows what you're doing, and they have to try to fill in the blanks so that they don't look. They'll start the conversation, and so that they don't look dumb, they'll start to try to fill in the blanks. And then they also sort of like, so that they also don't look dumb. They don't want to know that much, and because they want to feel like but they just leave not knowing anything about you. That's sort of what Christmas is. What you said you're not Christian because you were in that church, but what's your?
No, just born and raised atheist.
Oh.
I think that's quite common in
That's
Iceland.
really?
Like, yeah, I think it's the most atheist country in the world.
Interesting. And to be atheist just sort of claims that this is it. This is just do the thing.
Yeah.
And now does that put people in a higher position for suicide or a lower position for suicide?
Gosh, I think Iceland also tops in the suicide rate.
Yeah.
But I do think that's because there's no sunshine there.
Yeah, that doesn't.
So depressing.
You need it.
She's
Yeah.
stuck on this rock in the North Atlantic.
Yep.
The weather is always bad.
Yep.
The sun never comes out. There's barely any other people. Like.
This sounds great. I'm so glad I'm not going.
Yeah, I'm Iceland's worst advert. Loads of people go to me, oh, isn't Iceland amazing? I was like, I left 11 years ago and never returned.
Yeah. It was good. I did the thing. I did all the Iceland things, and then I left.
Yeah.
That's great. So does your family come here?
No, I came over here myself.
But do they come and do they visit?
Oh, they visit,
yeah.
They visit me. They like to come here for shopping.
Yeah.
Yeah,
interesting.
Got a lot of females in the family, so
yeah, London shopping.
Yeah,
London shopping.
Sort of like a fashion capital in the world, isn't it? So
Is it what?
London, sort of a fashion.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Place, so.
Yeah, is Iceland not a fashiony place?
Well, there's never actually good enough weather to wear anything fashionable.
Oh, that's funny.
You know, everyone's just in big coats and It's, I saw it came on there. It was their first news the other day that the heat went up to 14 degrees and people were sunblade bathing. Like 14 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
Like as here, people would be wearing like woolly jumpers and
right,
stuff.
Right.
But it was
like wearing shorts. Like this is my chance. Yeah, I come from an inherently cold place, it's Syracuse, and so when I don't know what's the conversion when when it'll be like 50 or 60, there's always like that one kid who just like puts shorts on. I don't know what's 50, probably 10. There's always just that one guy, and you're like, why are you doing this to yourself?
Yeah.
And you're like, no, this is great. This is what summer's about.
I went to Canada in February, and I used to live over there, and it was minus 30 Celsius, like really cold.
Yeah.
Like everyone's beard freezing and stuff, and everyone had those balaclavas on.
What is that?
Like, you know the hat you wear when you rob a bank. When you only see the eyes because it's so cold.
Right, because you can't even let your like mouth touch the outside. One of those days where you throw ice in the air and it freezes.
Yeah, it was crazy. Just feel really sorry for people who work in a bank in Canada. They must never know.
Oh, that's funny.
They must expect like the worst every time. And there's me walking out. It's like fashion here must just be dead. Like every fashion shop.
Wait,
must
where
just
were
be
you in
bankrupt.
Canada?
Calgary.
Okay, very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to run a fashion store there in the
right.
winter. So.
Right.
Or a makeup counter.
I like that idea. I like that idea. That's fun. You have to like completely cover. There are places where if your skin even touches the air, it's not skin anymore. Yeah, -30 is crazy. -30 is insane on either end of the spectrum because it's also -20. What was I going to say? So 50. Yeah, 50 is 10. Look at that. I nailed it.
Oh, that's really
50
good.
is 10.
That's really good.
Yeah. So okay. So interestingly enough, we were donated the space. We're at the Bill Murray at the Angel Comedy Club. Do you partake in any comedy experiences in London?
I do actually go to stand-up comedy sometimes. Nice. Yeah, it's like
it's another mecca for comedy. There's so many clubs.
Yeah, and a lot of them are like free. There's a lot of like kind of where comedians come to practice.
Okay, so at the end of every podcast, I tell people to pay for their porn. So pay for your comedy.
Yeah.
Because that's important. That's so funny.
Because a lot of them are free because the comedians are kind of testing their jokes.
Yes.
So like
that's not really why it's free. It's free because they're abusing us and they're taking advantage of us. And we and comedy is a disease and we have to get on stage. This is great. This has never actually come up. The reason why I started the podcast was because I saw similarities in the porn industry and the comedy industry, and this is one I had completely neglected, where people think they don't have to pay for porn, people think they don't have to pay for comedy. There's something weird about these worlds that we circle in.
I think that in porn is. I feel like there's a lot of things that porn is doing that like the music industry has been doing for a while now, which is like just changing where you're getting the money.
Yeah. So explain.
So obviously like a lot of like people always think that like my scenes like pay so much. And
Right.
stuff. It's like those days are gone.
Yeah.
But the money's coming in different ways. So like if I do a scene for a big company, my name is out there.
Right.
And that directs traffic to my social media where
Right.
I can then sell people like personalized
Personalized
clips
stuff.
or like Skype shows. and
Yeah,
that kind
everybody's
of,
had to
like,
become their own director, actor, like
Yeah.
writer, all the things, what's it called? Director of photography, like
Yeah.
all the things you have to be to really make it in the business. And comedy's in the same way. If you can acquire 1 million followers on Twitter, they just give you television shows. I mean, this is the
Yeah.
world that we live in now. It's sort of strange.
It's just more that like all the money's coming in little bits from
Yeah.
loads of places
Right.
rather than just like the one. And like music has been doing this for ages.
Yeah.
Where, like musicians couldn't no longer sell just CDs.
Yeah.
They have to like do shows and they have to go and like
Well, every
do appearances and
every
all the-
musician in the U.S. basically just tried to become a movie star because that's the only place that actually pays money anymore. It's an interesting thing. I wonder if comedians will ever get the hint and just start selling personalized content. Actually, you know what? I know someone who does that. This woman in shout out Libby Higgins. She had this fantastic viral video that went absolutely ballistic. She got like 50 million hits on this thing about me. She was like talking about McDonald's and the McRib and how she had to throat punch this woman. One of the taglines is "Excuse me, bitch," because this woman tells her she can't have another McRib. Anyway, she came up with this character, and then she does these personalized videos, and she'll sit on like a Thursday and make like 20 personalized videos for people, and like so that is the equivalent of like making a personalized porn at this point. That's crazy. That's what a weird world we've decided to create.
And I guess like with ad revenue as well, like because I see a lot of comedians on things like YouTube and
Sure.
stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like that way.
Yeah, if you can get a
enjoy,
YouTube
like,
video to go crazy, yeah, of course.
it's-
But the thing that you'll notice about things like that is that the stand-up itself isn't generally the thing that they're making, because the stand-up is such a specific art form that it's almost like you need to be in the room to get the full experience.
Yeah.
You can watch stand-up on TV and sort of like not be into it and like not be paying attention, and it's like, but when you're in the room, you can't ignore that person. You know that person is talented and that they're a phenom. But there's something about the medium of television and YouTube and the phone and the whole thing now where it's like, if anything else is going on, you're missing like the real talent of this person and the real comedy.
No, I love going to stand up nights. It's like one of my favorite things to do in London.
Oh, no shit. No, very cool. Well, now I see why you responded to all my requests.
I just hate when they sit me on the front because I just sit there and it's like, don't talk to me, don't. Talk
Yeah,
to me,
it's so generally speaking, I would say the front's going to be fine, but I would say for someone in your industry, it is particularly troublesome.
Yeah.
Because if you do get to the what do you do, then you either have to lie, and then we can sort of tell that you're lying, or you have to tell the truth, which also sounds like a lie, right? And it's like, and then the other problem is once that happens, a comedian knows that we don't get the spotlight anymore. All anybody's going to want to know is what more about you. So that is a tough one. So I wonder if there's like a side way to do it, because if people go, I don't want to sit in the front, and then we're always like, well, it's going to be fine, nothing's going to happen, just sit in the front. But I wonder if we should have people come in and you just go, listen, this is what I do. Can you just seat me just for everybody?
Can I have these like chairs for people who can't be talked to?
Just for the show. Just this is why. This is what I do.
I might just speak Icelandic at them and pretend I have no clue.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good move. That's a great move. Yeah. So wait. So does any of your family? So they only speak Icelandic?
Yeah, they all speak English
Okay.
as well.
And then is that part of again dumb American? Is that part of school? You learn
You learn English. Yeah.
English, Icelandic.
Icelandic is the primary language, but you learn English from a young age now, like with the internet as well.
Yeah.
It's like everyone's fluent. Like my English was atrocious when I came over here first.
Interesting.
It was absolutely.
You
And
you
I
have a bit
moved-
of an accent too, because you learned it here.
And then also I moved to Scotland of all places.
Yeah.
This is like hard enough for English people to understand. So
Right.
like my really basic English that I knew at the time was absolutely useless.
Yeah.
So I could say like hi, how are you? But I could only understand the reply, I am good, thank you.
Oh wow.
If they replied in any other way, that wasn't what the textbook said.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah, the accents out here are and then from what I understood initially, it was like very specific to like a particular neighborhood maybe, and then you go to Scotland, it's a whole other thing. You go to Ireland, it's a whole other thing. South Africa accents, there's because there's 12 languages sort of freely spoken, and some of them mirror English, some of them mirror Dutch, and it's sort of it's crazy trying to just hear the simplest. And it's like sometimes you're like you know they're saying something that you should understand, and you're just staring at them, and you're like, I just need you to say that one more time.
Yeah.
Because something about my brain is not picking up on where the accents are and what's happening. I don't know at all what this word is. Somebody asked me for oranges once in New York when I was still a waiter, and I was like so confused, and I brought this guy oranges, and he wanted orange juice.
Yeah.
But I made him repeat it to me a couple times, and I was like, yeah, I got you, no problem, I'll get you some oranges. And he wanted orange juice. It's just one of these things.
Yeah, we have that in Britain a lot, where we can't understand each other.
Yeah.
Like I still really struggle with people from like Liverpool.
Okay,
I have no clue what they're saying.
Yeah.
And I can always play the foreign card.
Yeah. Can people pick out that you're doing? It's just weird for me because now you're mixing two different things. So can people pick out that you're speaking British English through an Icelandic accent?
Most people in Britain, they notice there's something weird about my accent.
Yeah.
But a lot of them, they just think I'm from like Wales.
Okay.
Or somewhere like somewhere around. It was amazing when I was living in Canada, because I'd go to everyone's like, oh yeah, I'm from the UK, and they just believe it.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, finally.
That's great. Oh, that's great.
But over here, yeah, and it's always that like awful moment where like they stop me midway through a sentence and go, where's your accent from?
What's happening?
And then I go like, oh, I'm from Iceland, and then they disregard everything I was about to say and go on Instagram and show me all of the pictures of the person they're on holiday.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's so funny.
And there are few like Iceland facts they knew from school.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something about this is the thing about humanity. There's something about it where we just want to find some connection point. And we all just want to feel. This is what I love about comedy. And then also it's sort of maybe it plays itself out in porn. Is just sort of like we're all humans. We're all flawed, and we're all just a thing. And we all just want to find something. This was the whole goal of going to South Africa and doing comedy other places was to make sure that what I'm talking about is universal.
Yeah.
Like I don't ever want my comedy to be so specific to like a neighborhood, an area, to like a 500-mile radius that it's not funny to the rest of the world. So there's just something about when we meet somebody from another place. We just start. We gotta stop doing that. Yeah, like my buddy used to have this thing where he was from Nashville. He's got the southern accent, Nashville, Tennessee. He moves to New York, and then his people start talking to him like, "Hey man, where are you from?" And he's like, "I'm from Tennessee." And they're like, "Oh, I got a cousin that lives in Florida." And he's like, "What are we doing here? We're just naming states." Like, there's this thing, yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, like people do that with me all the time. It's like, oh, when I was on holiday, I met someone from Iceland.
Yeah. Like, do you know him?
Yeah.
His name was Brian.
We still do have this in the UK, that it happens to a lot of us when we're in the States, where it goes, have you met the Queen?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we don't.
That's a common question.
Yeah, we don't have any real viewpoint of what's going on, because all we did was we went to Disneyland, and that's how we learned about England and Iceland and everywhere else. We went on the ride. It's a small world after all, and if it's not on the ride, then we don't know about the world. I
like to believe though that these people think that I'm just casually having tea with the Queen every now and then. They're like, we're like, me and Lizzie are best buddies.
Yeah, but then it sort of diminishes it too, right? Because then it's like then we think everybody's just gonna do that. So you're not even particularly special.
In Iceland, this is the case. We have a president, and he is just like an ordinary person who just goes to the ordinary shop.
Yeah.
Like our prime minister flies economy, and nobody's ever heard of a bodyguard.
No shit.
Because it's so small, we are all related.
Yeah.
These are all our aunts and uncles. So
it
would be really weird for them to suddenly walk around.
Interesting to say that. Interesting to say that in a positive way, because then basically you're just saying it's just a whole bunch of incest. That's what you're saying.
Oh, there's an app where you can check how related you are to the people.
This is real.
Yeah.
Oh, so we have a thing called 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, 60 degrees of separation in the U.S., where we sort of everybody can be traced back to Kevin Bacon through movies, where everybody can be traced back to somebody, like 6 steps of separation. But for you guys, you're saying it's like 2 steps.
We are all essentially the same person.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh, that's great and terrible at the same time.
Yeah. It is really small. It's got 300,000 people.
Yeah, the whole place.
The whole place. It's a whole nation.
The whole thing.
Own language, own currency, own everything.
And I'm dying to go. I'm really dying to go. I really, I kind of made a mistake and I wasn't able to go this trip. I'm actually rooting through Morocco now to do the exact same trip. Because basically I was good, and I was an opportunity to go through Reykjavik, but basically people were like, if you go for one day, you're basically selling yourself short. So you got to go for a couple days, do the thing.
Yeah, you go and like rent a car
Yeah,
and drive to see some
drive
glaciers and
do some stuff. Yeah, right. What's that area where the glaciers? My buddy told me about the Golden Circle. Does that sound like a thing? That's where like hiking is, and then there's another one like another 2 hours north of that. Yeah, it's a whole fiasco.
Yeah.
This reminds me. Actually, there's comedy in Reykjavik. I actually got myself a show for Monday, but I got to cancel that show because I'm not gonna be able to get there. But so do you feel that the comedy in Iceland is catching up at all to England, or have you seen any of it? Have you?
I've just heard, like, obviously I moved away like 11 years ago, but I have heard that there are comedy nights and there's lots of like comedy in English. Like we finally got tourism, so we finally got some other people to kind of bounce back from, and I think that is making everything a lot better. An Icelandic comedian came over here. I saw him perform in London in English. Yeah. Doing like Icelandic comedy, and it was brilliant. Yeah. It was like I was a bit skeptical when that happened. I was like, oh, like Icelandic people aren't very funny.
Oh, interesting.
I think it's changing a lot with how it's like becoming more international.
Yeah.
So it's they're allowing themselves to like laugh at themselves.
Yeah, and so sprinkling in all this stuff. So wait, so is there any porn in Iceland?
No.
Can't do it. Not possible.
It's a very feminazi country.
Okay, interesting. Interesting.
So yeah, there's not even strip clubs.
Okay.
There's not even like topless magazines or anything.
Interesting. See, now we're in a weird place in the world where I feel like people are making the feminist argument for porn and for sex workers. Rather than like, oh well, if I have this feminist view, then this thing shouldn't exist where we use women to exploit their bodies. But it's like, but no, like I'm in control of my body. I get to do what I want with this. And now we're in this teeter. Yeah. So it's interesting.
That's how I came into porn. Actually, was that for a really long time, ever since I was a teenager, I was very like always arguing for porn and for sex work and like kind of like letting women choose what to do with their bodies. And I always found it a bit hypocritical that the same people go tell women, like, you can't tell a woman what to do, but then they go, but you can't do all of these things. Right. Yeah, it's this bit of a...
There's these weird like hops in every sort of idea and idealism. Like there's like, you say the thing at its core, but then in practice, the gap between the practice, like the definition of it in its truest form, and what happens in real life is humongous, and it almost goes the complete opposite. It's very strange.
Yeah, and that was like in Iceland. I was always told that like everyone who works in like any form of sex work was being forced, and it was all like So
I think that's the idea we have everywhere. Is that like somebody is in control of this person somewhere, and like they're being manipulated and they're mind fucked.
Yeah, there's like, you have this kind of stereotype of this like drugged up girl being like sex trafficked.
And this happens, right? And there's a history of this, right? But by and large, at this point in time, people that are involved have a very clear understanding what's going on, and a very like accurate cultivation of what they're doing.
Yeah, and I mean, these kind of exploitations happen in every line of work. Sure. It happens in like labor work. It happens in like most factories around the world. Like someone is being exploited, but it doesn't mean that the whole industry is bad. Right. And I feel like in Iceland particularly, they take the standpoint because they don't have this industry. Yeah. So it's very easy for them to look at like one bad example and go, oh, it must all be like that. Right. Whereas like...
Well, that's how you make an argument, isn't it? You find the worst possible thing, you cram it in the middle, right? And you break apart the things that are good about it, and you should have sent those away. And you go, yes, but it's hard, it's this.
Yeah. And then in London, everyone's like a lot more open-minded. There's the whole thing with like nothing shocks. In London. And here it's become so acceptable. Like I never feel like I have to lie about my profession or anything. And just like everyone just goes, oh yeah, cool. Yeah. Like
it's great.
it's not such a taboo anymore.
Yeah, I feel like we would have that in New York, but porn doesn't really happen in New York. Porn's in Vegas, it's in L.A., it's in Miami, just from a weather standpoint, which is interesting. It is interesting that there's an industry in London considering that this is the weather.
Oh, we do fly a lot to Southern Europe to shoot.
Yeah, what are the hot spots? What is like the porn capital? If Vegas is in L.A. is the U.S., what is the porn capital of Europe?
Budapest.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'd say it's Budapest. For like your kind of standard porn, like, obviously.
Define the standard porn.
Like, the story of like, the builder comes around and she just can't pay, like that kind of standard porn.
Right. Pizzas with dicks in them.
Yeah.
Things like that.
But whereas with maybe more kind of like kink stuff.
Yeah.
You'd probably find more of that happening in Germany and stuff.
Interesting.
Like where, they have maybe more of a history around it. And
yeah.
They do like events and stuff.
Okay. So I would say that's like Tampa in the U.S. It's sort of like the fetish capital.
Yeah.
So Germany, interesting.
Yeah,
and I've seen a lot of people are in
Scandinavia as well.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people are in Barcelona, or maybe that was just the sort of the circle I got into today.
Yeah, Barcelona, Prague as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are again like they have the big studios making the kind of porn films. As what you think when you think porn.
It's weird. It's interesting to think that there are places that just don't have porn. Although meanwhile, if I look at it from a case by case basis, it's like in the U.S. all of the places aren't making porn. Like New York's not making porn. Like Nebraska's not making porn. So it does make sense from that perspective. Because like I'm in South Africa and there's just no porn industry in South Africa.
Yeah.
I went to South Africa. I was there for 3 weeks. I was like, while I'm here, I'm going to try to do some episodes of the podcast. There's nothing. There's nobody. There's nothing.
That's the problem in Australia as well.
No porn in Australia.
Very little.
Oh wow.
Very little. Like they've got a small population and they crack down on it pretty hard.
Yeah.
So, and that's the issue we're having in the UK at the moment, is that the laws are becoming so strict.
Okay.
It's becoming impossible for
specifically
companies to stay here. It's like they're deeming a lot of things like bad, but they're not like bad, just things that the government thinks bad, like face sitting.
Face sitting.
Yeah. It's like to most people isn't a particularly bad thing.
Yeah.
Just to the government it is.
So they're trying to.
It's banned at the moment.
They've banned face sitting. Doing it.
Yeah, like they've banned
filming it.
They've banned filming it. So
oh wow.
Same with like things like urination and stuff. And it's like it's for a lot of people it's out of the ordinary.
Sure.
But it's not bad.
Yeah.
There's a difference between that and actual violence.
Right. It's not illegal. It shouldn't be illegal.
Yeah,
That's
it's
interesting.
not dangerous for the person, people involved. As long as everyone's a consenting adult, it's absolutely fine.
Yeah, there's all sorts of weird. It's weird that they're enacting laws to try and stop things because there are weird. There's something about maybe this is the thing. The takeaway for this is like, so at some point, the U.S. and Britain. And sort of the UK in general has become this sort of like open doors on everything. It's sort of like we've taken away censorship. People can say what they want. There's all these things that are. I guess actually that might not be true. In Britain, you can't incite any sort of violence, right? There's a couple like freedom of speech things that don't actually exist. But then it's like once we evolve so far, like the U.S. is getting to a point where everybody wants to censor everything. So it's interesting that Britain's getting to that place now.
Yeah.
So it's like South Africa. They just lifted censorship. They just, it's been 26 years of actually like of dropping apartheid, and so now everything is. It's like just say everything, say whatever you want, get out there and like speak your mind and do your thing. So it's interesting. It's like it's always just cycles. So it's like tightening back up.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I don't know if this is a bit of a conspiracy, but I heard this from another porn performer who's been in the business a really long time, that it used to be illegal in the UK till I think the early 90s. And then, like, the government figured out that they could make a lot of money.
A lot of money, right? Just like gambling. U.S. right now just open the doors on gambling.
Yeah. And then now with the internet and all the porn going on the internet, the government's figuring out they're not making
They're not making as much money as they thought they could.
Yeah. So now they're cracking down on it again.
Interesting.
But all it means really is that the companies are moving abroad and just because we're still in the EU zone, so we can go and film abroad.
Yeah.
It's not,
Right.
Once Brexit takes place, it's going to be harder. But at the moment, there is a free flow of work. So I mean, a lot of UK performers live in Europe.
Right.
For the purpose that like that's where all companies have moved.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's,
Yeah, you got to go where the work is.
yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, you want your commute to be as easy as possible. It's interesting. Well, great. Look, I really enjoyed talking to you. How do people find you on the internet? How do they follow you? Tell them.
I'm on Twitter at Tindra Frost. I am also on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the Americans, they use the Instagram more.
We love Instagram. We love Snapchat.
I'm also on Snapchat. It's I keep it really simple. I'm
Yeah.
at Tindra Frost.
Yeah, that's great. It's great. It's great that you were able to do that. Yeah, I meet a lot of people in both businesses, comedy and porn, where they sort of like, well, this one is this one, and this one has 4 numbers in it, and this one is this. So it's
Yeah.
always nice. I have the one luck of being the only Dan Frigolette. So it's like it's Dan Frigolette and everything. I told somebody the other day, and they were like, oh. I was like, yeah, this is just me. So there's just you. Just if you look for Tindra Frost, it's just you.
Yes.
Instagram, Snapchat.
Yes.
Do you have like a paid Snapchat? Do you do that? Do you get involved in the thing?
I have a premium Snapchat,
Yeah.
yes,
Cool.
and I have an OnlyFans, but like the links to all of this is in the bio of both my Twitter and Instagram.
Cool.
So it's quite easy to find.
Get out there, follow the lady, do the thing. Anything else to plug? Anything else you wanna?
No, just follow me there. Like I have a Gets link, so you can find links to absolutely everything.
Cool. And pay for your porn. Pay for your comedy. This is the Porn Stars of People podcast. Thank you to Angel Comedy Club, the Bill Murray Room. Very fantastic comedy club. Check it out whenever you're in London for letting us film here. We have some content today on YouTube. We have the podcast on Android platform, on the Google Play Store, and on the iTunes platform for Apple. Wherever you listen, whatever device you have, you can find us. We drop an episode every Sunday. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much to my guest, Tindra Frost. Please follow her. Pay for her porn. I'm Dan Frigolette. Thank you so much.